And the other thing is regarding Jill Biden saying we got to wrap this up. Maybe she's saying that because she's running the country.
Yeah, she was at the cabinet meeting on Friday. She was at the head of the table. Here's a picture of her. And I was watching Fox and Friends Weekend, and I turn on the TV and I see her at the end of the table. I'm like, where is he? Why isn't he at this meeting?
In their desperation to own the libs, Fox News hosts and MAGA commentators publicly humiliated themselves by signal boosting a conspiracy theory about President Biden and the First Lady that was specifically contradicted by the very footage they shared, and one Fox News host in particular had the misfortune of doing this on live TV. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, as far as conspiracy theories go, this is one of the dumber ones perpetuated by MAGA commentators in mainstream and alternative media. So to start with, I'm going to play a clip for you. It's about 30 seconds long. It is absolutely crucial to what Fox and the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro and Jack Posobiec and all these others are going to complain about. Here's the footage. Watch carefully.
She talked about the fact that sometimes the White House, in her words, surprises you. And for somebody who has worked on women's health issues for her whole career, frankly, as a teacher, but also as the second lady and now as the first lady, she said one of the things that struck her the most was the inequities in medical research, funding for medical research for women. So this is an important priority of hers that she had the opportunity to at this cabinet meeting to spotlight. And as you had that great interview with her, Peter, talking about the fact that, yes, a burden may have been lifted from her husband's shoulder in one respect with the end of his campaign, but there's still a lot of work that they both intend to do during their last few months in office.
So what that was footage of the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, attending a cabinet meeting, okay? She sat at one end of the table, and it was about issues that were very important to the First Lady, okay? Now, I want you to make note of this right here because I don't know if you can tell us. This elderly gentleman at the other side of the table, or excuse me, at the center of the table with his own kind of like raised platform with a white sheet, that is the President of the United States, Dr. Biden's husband. This is really important because the conspiracy theory is now that Joe Biden's actually running the country, and Joe Biden is nowhere to be seen. She's running his cabinet meetings. Joe Biden is MIA. He's AWOL. He's all the acronyms. Except he was in the footage. So we're going to play the clip of Ainsley Earhardt of the Fox Propaganda Network disgracing herself and get into some other examples. But this is how desperate these losers are to try to denigrate the sitting president of the United States.
And the other thing is regarding Jill Biden saying we got to wrap this up. Maybe she's saying that because she's running the country.
Yeah, she was at the cabinet meeting on Friday. She was at the head of the table. Here's a picture of her. And I was watching Fox and Friends Weekend, and I turn on the TV and I see her at the end of the table. I'm like, where is he? Why isn't he at this meeting?
Yeah,
Why isn't he at this meeting? He was at this meeting. That's him. Does she not know what the President of the United States looks like? Maybe her cognitive state, maybe her mental fitness, and the mental fitness collectively of right-wing commentators should be called into serious question, especially at their relative young age. At the middle of the table, surrounded by those two flags, sitting in a slightly higher chair than all the rest, is the President of the United States, Joe Biden, Dr. Jill Biden's husband. He was there. He was always there. But these morons are too stupid and dishonest to recognize it. And sadly, it's not just Ainsley Earhardt. It's also Republican congresspeople. It's Republican legislators, Republican senators, including Josh Hawley, Republican senator of Missouri. Is this real? Is this who's running the country? Why would you say that, Senator? Presumably, if you are a senator, you would know certain things. I'm going to get into my tweet, but for context, Jack Posobiec, right-wing moron, and Ben Shapiro, who's not a moron but is quite dishonest when it comes to political expedience, they're also signal boosting this lie. The White House just held its first cabinet meeting in 11 months. Jill Biden sat at the head of the table. Ben Shapiro responded to that and said, isn't the vice president constitutionally obligated to invoke the 25th Amendment under these circumstances? Under what circumstances? A cabinet meeting in which a guest in which the First Lady is present and is at the end of the table, that's not grounds for the 25th Amendment, Ben. Ben's a lawyer. Ben knows. That's what I'm saying. Like, Ben is smart. He just does a hell of an impression of a moron when it comes to denigrating himself for Trump. So I responded with, Ben and Jack Posobiec's alt, which is what wokeness is reportedly, are too dishonest to acknowledge and too stupid to understand, respectively, that the president, number one, doesn't sit at the end of the table, and he doesn't. The president typically sits at the middle of the table, I've never seen a photograph, maybe it's out there, of presidents of the United States sitting at the end. They're usually at the middle with their back to the windows and the two flags in question. That the president doesn't sit at the end of the table, that the president attended the meeting, that the president is shown in the video, the very video that they included and reacted to. And as a matter of fact, I added my own little edits here with little red arrows to identify, oh my God, that's the president of the United States. And to also point at the chyron out at the bottom. First Lady joins President Biden in cabinet meeting. Hard to join somebody when they're not there to be joined. So by definition, using context clues, if she joined President Biden at the cabinet meeting, by definition, President Biden had to be at the cabinet meeting in the first place. To say nothing of the photo and videographic evidence confirming his attendance. Also, as Alex Cole, who was one of my favorite Twitter users, points out, oh my God, look at this. Look at this. This is a photograph of the Trump era cabinet. This loser here at the end, that's Donald Trump looking very bored, staring off into the distance. And this loser's daughter, Ivanka Trump, is, oh my God, she just stood up from the very chair that Dr. Jill Biden would occupy years later. That is the chair that we just saw Jill Biden sit in. Donald Trump's daughter was sitting in that chair. Was Ivanka Trump leading cabinet meetings? Was Ivanka Trump running the country? Was Ivanka Trump there in defiance of the 25th Amendment? No. No, what happened is, in their zeal to try to pretend that President Biden isn't running the country, they just pounced on something they happened to glance over. And if they spent actual seconds, just mere seconds, 2 seconds even, looking at the footage on which they commented, they would see, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Joe Biden's right here. And of course, Joe Biden doesn't sit at the end of the table, nor did Donald Trump, nor did President Obama, President Bush. And of course, they have guests. So this is the latest stupid conspiracy theory, folks. This is where we are. Mediaite did a pretty funny write-up on it. Fox and Friends floated the theory that First Lady Jill Biden is in charge of the White House, but while Ainsley Earhardt asked why President Biden wasn't attending a recent cabinet meeting, viewers saw footage showing him leading the meeting. The pro-Trump Fox News morning show focused on a recent New York Times New York Post. I apologize to the New York Times. I have my beef with the New York Times, but nowhere near as bad as the New York Post. But the New York Post opinion piece by Miranda Devine, which mocked Biden as a joke and flatly claimed that, quote, it certainly appears that Jill Biden is running the country, not Joe. Yes, the morning cable news show was laundering a conservative opinion piece by reporter Devine, a Fox News contributor, as if her conservative attack piece was actual news. Like much of the New York Post, Devine's reputation is somewhere between partisan hack and shameless profiteer off of specious conspiracy theories. The symbiotic relationship between the two Murdoch-owned properties was in full effect Monday, as Steve Doocy asked if Jill Biden was running the country. But again, as Ainsley Earhardt was talking, as she asked, however, viewers could clearly see the president leading the meeting from his traditional spot at the middle of the table. The middle of the table, to which Doocy interjected, there she is, referring to the First Lady. So, folks, when some people send me emails or at me on Twitter and ask why I make fun of and why I'm so mean to Fox News and to conservative commentators, quite frankly, it's reasons like this. There are probably good faith criticisms to make of the Biden administration to President Biden. There are probably good faith questions to ask persistently about his mental state, given that he's, 81 years old. I understand all of that. My issue is when you indulge in effortlessly debunkable conspiracy. Like, think about it. Think of all the crazy, stupid, insubstantial, I should say, conspiracy theories being floated by right-wingers. This is among the dumbest ones. And yet Ben Shapiro has signal boosted it. Jack Posobiec has signal boosted. The New York Post is signal boosting it. And Fox News is posting it and signal boosting it. Folks, they are jumping on this. That's why I make fun of them. And quite frankly, why I think you should as well. This is the behavior they're exhibiting. This is the behavior of losers, okay? Ground your arguments, ground your opinions in like substance here. You know, like if Biden, like even the times that he has misspoken, the times that he has gotten a world leader's name wrong, that is infinitely more substantive than this. Biden was at the meeting. He was at his usual spot in the meeting. He is running the country. And Donald Trump had family members also attend cabinet meetings where he sat, where Biden sat, and where the family members sat, where Dr. Jill Biden sat. It's not that complicated. These people are idiots, and that's why I make fun of them, and that's why I think you should too. So we'll see how far this goes. I wouldn't be surprised if this dominates Fox News chyrons for the foreseeable future. But in the meantime, please let me know what you think in the comments.